Is the tractor gonna start? Absolutely not. And here's today's It's Always Something. Well, good morning. It's Bobby Lee and
Willis
from Hurricane Creek Farms. Starting out early this morning. Not gonna have much of a sunrise shot there over my shoulder. You see fairly overcast this morning. Starting out checking these calves right here at the bunks. We actually, if we can account for pretty much everybody, we're not gonna feed them here. We're gonna move to the next pasture. We'll see who all we can find, but as always, first thing, I'm looking and I don't see the bull. And this will be the first day in a while that he's done this to us, which would be fitting on the day that we want to rotate. Well, I can't badmouth the bull. There he is. He's in good shape. We may be one short on the calves. We've had one with a sore foot, number 22. But yeah, since they're all here, we have their attention. They want to be fed. We're gonna dive off down the hill, across the bottom, up into the next pasture. Get on the move. Flies are getting bad. It's just that time of year. But of course, mentioned it being overcast. Rain in the forecast for later today. And actually we've got a little rain in the forecast for the next 10 days. So she gonna let you pet her? That calf, for the long-time viewers of the channel, this one, she was not bottle raised, but we fed her a bottle a couple of times. She had a mom that just wasn't great. Mom actually ended up raising her just fine. We had laid her down in one of the videos in the pasture and lanced an abscess on her jaw. But yeah, just those few times we fed her a bottle. She's, you know, hadn't forgot that. She's a little more friendly than just the average calf. Okay, they're cooperating pretty well this morning. We'll see if they'll follow us on in here. Try to get an accurate head count on them as they come through the gate. Come on through here, babies. As we pull into this pasture, we're gonna go on up on the next ridge and feed them a little bit. But of course, they've been out of here for the last 2 or 3 weeks, but really like all the red clover you see scattered about in this pasture. We've got a lot of white clover in here too. See some there, but that red, as we move into June here and things are really starting to warm up, you can still thrive and do better as we get a little warmer as opposed to that white. But yeah, there's pretty clover there, which it won't be too long before it gets too hot even for it, but it's gotten pastures rotated. I do think we're one short, probably that one that's got sore foot, so we did leave the gate open. This crew should be content staying here and not go back and forth just because it's just grass always greener on the other side. Now they are on the other side. But anyway, that's one task for the morning accomplished. We're gonna head on up the road. I was gonna highlight Willis's shirt, and as I went to film him, he was watering the earth. So now we'll show him your shirt. Got our logo on the front. Turn around. What's the back say?
Eat beef and God bless.
He mumbles, but he said eat beef and God bless. But yeah, we're always very appreciative of the shirts. We you know, we've kicked around the idea of would we make shirts, would we sell shirts? I don't know. The hat thing has, and thank you to everybody who has bought hats. If you haven't and you would like one, go to hurricanecreek.farm, pick you one out. Willis, don't be waving your arms around wild, you're gonna scare them. The hat, I know why people don't do that more and why a few people are just like, yeah, I don't know about that. Because you make very little money, you know, on each hat you sell. And then when you figure in some of the hidden costs that you don't really realize at first, yeah, you're lucky to break even. And with shirts, it kind of scares me because then you got to have all sorts of different sizes, and you know, inevitably you're probably going to run out of one size, and then you're going to have another size or two that you have a bunch of excess. So if there was a big demand, we would do it. So y'all can leave a comment if you would like a shirt. But on Wednesday we got done baling. Of course, the air conditioner not working. We just backed the baler under. Willis and I just now got her unhooked. Our next project is to get some pasture sprayed. Finally gonna get around to that. Probably maybe a month after would have been ideal, and that ragweed was still much smaller. But is the tractor gonna start? Is the battery gonna be strong enough? Absolutely not. So, I'm gonna call my dad, kind of sweet talk him, see if he'll let us borrow his tractor. You think it'd be better for us to borrow Poppy's tractor? Okay, picked up a tractor and sprayer from my dad's house. 27 miles an hour. Good Lord. This thing's like driving a daggone spaceship. All the fancy buttons and all. But anyway, I'm gonna focus on driving, less on filming. Okay, so I got our water running. This sprayer will hold 300 gallons. We're not gonna put that much in it just because we really don't have that much to cover. I think we'll spray about 200 gallons. We put out about 20 gallons of water per acre. So easy math, they're about 10 acres. And I don't even know that we have a full 10 acres to get over. We'll probably start there. If we end up needing a little more, we've got enough chemical, I think, to cover 40 acres, should we need to do that. But a little water get in there, start to agitate, then mix our chemical in. So as we're filling up here, yeah, we need to be about right there. Shoot a little over halfway to that point. Yes, I don't know. I think we probably have used this sprayer before in a video, but it's been a while. We didn't spray any last year, which is kind of why we're really having to get after it this year, specifically that ragweed. But it is a boomless sprayer. Just meaning, those of you not familiar, you know, normally you see, especially in big ag, they got the big long arms that stick out with individual nodules, you know, spaced every so often, spraying directly down onto the crop. Or the weeds or whatever you're targeting. This just has this single nozzle, single jet, just a boomless nozzle there. Basically, and we'll get a video of it, it sprays out, you know, in each direction a long way. Not quite as precise, but for applications like out in the pasture, we don't have to necessarily be super precise. You know, we're not going over thousands of acres in a year where, you know, our chemical costs are an issue for us. Also, it's really nice as I walk here to open the gate, like we can get up close to fences and whatnot, and you know, we don't have to worry about like hanging a boom on anything. We just spray, you know, across. You know, so you can get to some areas that you may otherwise not have been able to. But actually, our old sprayer over here that we kind of got in the weeds, it was a boom sprayer. And then we converted it over to a boomless. We bought a special tip. And we could still use it, but Dad's got this brand new one that's ready to go. I guarantee you mine, little solenoid valve where you cut it on and off, is always bad. We have to replace that basically every year. You know, so to not have to deal with any of that. This one you see too is very low profile, sits low to the ground. As I walk over here, we don't want to let it get too full, because then I'll have to just add more water and figure out where else we're gonna spray. But that one sits up a little higher. Not too big of a problem, although one time I did turn this one over. As you may be able to appreciate, probably not too much. Twisted up the tongue there. Of course, thankfully the tractor I was pulling it with, you know, stayed upright, but that thing, it was full. We were on a hillside and I turned too sharp, going too fast. Boom. So anyway, that I think that might have been the end of the booms on that one. But yeah, and you'd catch a boom every now and then on a tree or on a fence post, bend it up. So really like the boomless for all those reasons. And so what we're spraying will not harm any grasses. It is just broadleaf specific, and mainly we're targeting all this common common ragweed. Brain fart there for a second. Giant ragweed, again, we really don't have much problem with until they eat the giant ragweed up really good. Let the cows in here a few days ago for just a day or two because there wasn't much to eat, and they eat on it a little bit. It's not a toxic plant or anything. It's just not a lot of, you know, forage value to it. So targeting that primarily. You know, there's some smart weed. We'll have some perilla mint in some shadier spots. What we call goat weed too can be bad in some places, but you know, ragweed is really what we're targeting. We do this, you know, at the expense of the clover. Any clover is gonna also be killed. That's kind of our dilemma. You know, at what point are the weeds bad enough that's worth sacrificing the clover? And they're definitely bad enough in this pasture to do that. One other cool thing about this sprayer, it has a wand. So you get on a spot like this, hillside, you can't get up here, and pull that wand off, walk up here and spray, get to some harder to reach spots. We're gonna do that kind of on this hillside too. It's right here beside the house. I certainly don't want weeds right that close that I'm gonna have to stare at. And here's today's, it's always something. Milwaukee Impact is worth its weight in gold. Kick on too much. Anybody who uses these jacks know that it can be a little dangerous, a little peculiar. Some people call them widowmakers, so yeah. Don't know that I recommend doing anything the way I do it. As I've gotten out and looked now too, there's a lot more cuckleburr in here than I had realized or anticipated. Which shouldn't surprise me, we've had cuckleburr in the past, but it's just not near as big yet as this ragweed. So yeah, targeting multiple broadleaf species, I mean, because pretty much it's going to kill all the broadleaves, but got multiple species of broadleaf weeds out here, you know, that we will be glad to see gone. But a little breakdown only cost us about 30 minutes. Yeah, the Milwaukee Impact, worth its weight in gold. Of course, thankfully we're right here at home, so we're able to take that wheel up there to the air compressor, get it aired back on there, and we're rolling again. Shout out to the sexy tractor driver who came and allowed me to fly the drone for a moment. And normally I'm flying the drone and driving the tractor. Not exactly safe, but the tractor's nice, isn't it?
It's very nice.
You just gonna keep spraying? You're gonna give, okay. You gonna give up the seat for me?
I wasn't supposed to ever reveal that I was taking the wrong tractor.
Oh. You doubted yourself? I never doubted you.
I was never going to reveal that I was capable.
Oh, she said she didn't want to reveal that she was capable of driving the tractor, because now, yeah, you know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna need somebody to rake hay one day. Except this tractor is like 2 years old, our rake tractor is 50 years old, so you look good on the end tractor though. Well, another good morning to you. I'll walk out here and check our fancy new rain gauge. You know, I've been talking about we didn't have a rain gauge at home since we lost ours in the tornado. It's got one of these fancy ones. We got almost 3/10, 28 100ths yesterday, which, and it always like this, and yeah, farmer, we always got to complain about the weather one way or another, because we wanted the rain. We want as much as, I shouldn't say as much as we get. Reasonably speaking, we would have liked to have had some more. And it rained a lot more than this, I know. I mean, I have not talked to anyone, but back towards town, I was in town yesterday afternoon, and that water was just, the ditches, everything was just overflowing. And I was like, oh wow, I'm gonna get home and check the gauge. And I checked the gauge, and we had like 1/4 of an inch at the time. It was just about quit raining. But anyway, yeah, the last 2 or 3 rains we've had right here generally in the county, you know, it'll rain a 1/2 inch at my dad's house, 10th here. And so we're not in bad shape at all, but kind of getting those annoying little, you know, not entire misses, but a little surprise woke up to this morning. The cows are not supposed to be in here. Got to go investigate. It's not a big deal. You can see, you can probably appreciate what we sprayed yesterday in here. That stuff works quickly. It is rolling up all that ragweed. That chemical is totally safe for animals to graze. There's no grazing restriction on it, so we're fine there. I didn't intend for them to be in this pasture. And one task we wanted to get accomplished this morning is gonna treat this bull again, that right front foot. She's got a lot of mud in there now because that little bit of rain. Actually, it may not be as swollen as I thought it was, but he's a little more tender still yesterday than I thought he should have been at this point. Go on, boy. Go on. Go. Go on in there. So he might be giving to it just a little, not a lot. Go. Go. He's just being kind of ornery. Got to put over here in a good spot to look at it too. You can see it's real swollen through there. I don't know. Treated him on Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. Today is Sunday. But yeah, I kind of thought we might even have him back turned out by today, but leave him up for another day or two. It's nice because cows, he needs to be with her just right here. So when we do turn him back out, all we have to do is open the gate. We don't have to haul him anywhere. And back in the pen. There we go. I know we've referenced in the past, we're gonna have to change Smokey's lifestyle. Being able to free range, which she has not gotten out. When I say out, like tried to like leave the property, but just the one time when she was following us. But she's laying in my wife's flower beds. She actually, knock on wood, has not tried to eat the garden or eat the flowers. But of course, at her size, she can go anywhere. We've got the green gates we use here at the Hall of the Barn. Of course, she just goes under. So that's an old kind of net gate thing. Kaylin hated them, but I dug one of them out to put there. We'll see. Like, I don't know. She may still get down and go underneath that, but she's just all of a sudden, and it's, of course, this is why you don't have calves that you literally raise like they're just a yard dog, because they get into things. Keep a couple of tubs full of corn over here. When I go feed the calves up the road, we just got some corn left over in the gravity wagon. Coons are getting in it, just trying to get rid of it, so I'm giving them just a little every day with their other feed. Smokey turns it over. So yeah, we're gonna have to officially, you know, put our foot down and figure out a way to make her stay in the pasture, Smokey. So sorry, girl. Well, that's never something you want to see when you're headed up the driveway. That is definitely one of our calves. A, because there's not any other cattle immediately here nearby, and B, I can see the tag. The question is, where's his mom? Because having a calf out, and just a calf out, would be a little bit odd. You know, he wouldn't likely leave his mother, he or she. Well, just like we're talking with Smokey, we live in a good spot. I mean, there's never a good time for cows to be out at a good place, but we're at the end of a dead-end road, so there's no traffic here. A little ways from the main road, but, you kidding me? Well, Sadie and I came down here to Gilt Edge Farm, and we keep finding calves, bull, anything. Oh. Well, here we go. They must have been laid up in the shade over there. We've been down here, I bet, 30 minutes calling. Already put some feed out in the bunks. Just nobody showed up. Well, good. Well, they're still in the pasture they're supposed to be in. I didn't shut this gate yesterday because we had a couple of stragglers when we moved through, but I mean, it is later in the morning. It's almost 10 a.m. Still, I'd figured they wouldn't have been that hard to call out of the shade, especially knowing I got some feed. But all right, we'll see if they'll follow us up to the box and we can maybe get a head count on everybody. That was only roughly half of them. Couldn't get an exact count. They were all wadded up, and they're not really interested in coming up here to the feed bunks. They best is just warmed up enough by this time of morning, and I think the flies are really starting to bother them. We're gonna need to start spraying them when they do come up to the bunks earlier in the mornings. But, well, I'd given up on finding the others right here at the entrance. They were right down here the whole time. I drove right past them when I drove in, which, yeah, normally they would have, I mean, they obviously saw me when I drove by. They couldn't have missed me. But they're more interested in the shade than they are a little bit of feed, which we don't give them enough feed to really matter. It's usually just enough to keep them coming to the feed bunk, but I guess today it was not enough to keep them coming to the feed bunk. Yeah, there's the bull. That was one of the main things. I knew we just didn't have all, I guess 61 head, counting him and that other bunch, but it was about half. So, and then we got here. This is gonna be about all of them. We're not gonna get an exact count today, but good deal. I don't blame y'all for wanting a little shade. And on the subject of our spraying we did yesterday, we said we've just got a carpet of cuckleburs, young cuckleburs in some spots in these pastures. Don't really have any plans to spray on this farm, but if we could jump in here in some of these worst spots, I mean, that is solid cuckleburs. Anyway, if you're wondering about my attire, I went for a run this morning, been trying to get back in that routine. I turned 40 here in just a few days, and a friend of mine who's just a few years older, a few years ago when he turned 40, ran 40 miles on his birthday. You know, kind of an ultimate middle finger to Father Time. I'm not nearly that hardcore, but I kind of set a goal of I'm gonna run 40 miles this month, which I bet I hadn't run 7, 8 miles all year. So that's why I'm in my running clothes for this morning as we do our chores. Contained Smokey has obviously failed, as there she is. So I don't know, we'll look and see. I'm sure she just still went under that gate, but yeah, back to the drawing board. And you can really appreciate how all that ragweed is really curled up since we sprayed it, you know, right at 24 hours ago. So looks like we got a good kill on that. We'll be able to tell a lot better here in a few weeks, and hopefully really start to see the grass come up, because a lot of Bermuda in here, but it's kind of hidden beneath all those weeds. The mystery of how the cows got back into the house pasture is as simple as the gate was open. Now, why is the gate open? Looked like they may have got to pushing on it and modified our little snap there, so that one's no longer any good. We'll see if we can get them to follow us back out here. There's just not a lot to eat in there. Now that we've killed all those weeds, warm weather, you know, lots of moisture, we should get some grass growing back in there pretty quickly. But apologize if there's a lot of wind interference. I don't have my little wind muffler on the GoPro because we haven't had a lot of wind lately. Hadn't been using it, but it's windy, it's clouding up. I knew we had a chance of rain this afternoon. Apparently things might get interesting. Just heard on the radio, you know, high winds, 50-mile-an-hour winds, heavy rain, hail, potential for tornadoes. Like, fantastic. So that's gonna start here, I think it said after 2 p.m. So we're gonna get inside, get cleaned up. There's a baseball game or two of interest today I'm gonna watch with the family. But yeah, y'all keep checking back. It's probably been a little longer video because we did it over 2 days and we've done a fair amount of stuff. So I won't bore you with a long rambling monologue at the end like I tend to do. Y'all simply, well, keep checking back with us. But y'all eat beef and God bless. All right, let's see if Smokey reveals what she does. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be, well, that was not nearly as difficult as I had at least hoped it would be. So, back to the drawing board on Operation Keep Smokey Contained.